Okay, everyone, I think we'll get started here. So welcome everybody. My name is Sam and I work on the events team here at Algonquin College. And thank you so much for joining us for this Let's Get Social Week event. We are going on our virtual field trip to Little Rays Nature Center in Ottawa, Ontario, which is where the Algonquin College Woodruff campus is located. And if anyone is from the Ottawa area, you are probably familiar with Little Rays Nature Center. As a kid, they would always come into my school and bring like cool snakes and cool animals for presentations. It was always my favorite part of the day. So I'm really excited to be doing this as an adult now. It's like reliving all my childhood memories. So I'm really excited for this. So let's get started, folks. Before I hand the floor over to Little Rays, we're going to go over a couple of housekeeping items. So to stay connected to the Algonquin College community, be sure to tune into our regular scheduled virtual events that you can find through the AC Hub events calendar, which I'll share a link to in the chat now. And like I mentioned earlier, this is Let's Get Social Week, so the first week of the winter 2022 semester, which we do a bunch of cool activities for you folks to get social and meet some people at the college and make new friends and just have some fun during the first week of school. So we do have a couple more events as part of our Let's Get Social Week programming. So if you are interested in signing up for those, we'll share a link to in the chat to those events now. Okay, and this event is equipped with closed captioning if you need it. And to turn on closed captioning, you just press the CC icon along the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. This event is also being recorded and will be available to watch on the AC Hub on-demand website in the coming days. Okay, so I think that's all of my housekeeping items for today. So like I said, folks, we're going on a virtual field trip, the Little Rays Reptile Center. They have a ton of cool animals. I'm so excited. And Charlotte is here from Little Rays. She is going to take us on a trip around the zoo, show us all the cool animals. If you have any questions about a specific animal or about a specific thing that she's talking about, feel free to type it into the chat or the Q&A, and I'll read it out loud to Charlotte from there. We'll also save a little bit of time at the end for a more formal Q&A session if you have more questions then. So without further ado, we are going to hand the floor over to Charlotte from Little Rays Reptiles for the virtual zoo tour. Take it away, Charlotte.
Can everyone hear me okay? I assume it's all good. Yeah. I can see my little captions coming up. Awesome. So hi guys, my name is Charlotte. I work with Little Rays Reptiles, and we do have a lot of super cool animals here. So we are the largest exotic animal rescue in Canada, which means we have multiple different animals. Some of them you might see here, some of them you might not be able to find here in Canada, and we'll go over a little bit of both. You will notice it is very loud in the center. We do have a lot of animals who make a lot of noise, like the one right beside me right now, who does want some attention from you guys. So I will show her in just a second. If you do have any questions, or if you guys have any favorite animals, any animals you'd really, really like to see today, or really like to maybe learn a little bit more about, you can type them in the chat. I'll try my best to monitor the chat, as well as I think you can raise your hand, and then we can definitely get you to ask that question, and I'll try my best to answer it for you guys. But I will try to go over most information with the animals and then take a little question period at the end. So we can hear someone making a lot of noise right now, and I'm going to flip over the camera. You guys don't have to look at me the whole presentation. Don't worry. So right here we have Kiva. And Kiva is actually one of our African gray parrots. She is a very, very loud bird, as you guys will come to know. I'm upstairs right now in our facility. So we do have a couple different floors. Kiva is living up here right now, just because if you guys notice on her face, she does have a couple cuts. I'm not even sure if you guys can hear me because of her yelling, but African gray parrots are actually the most intelligent, or one of the most intelligent pets. So they can learn up to 1,000 words. And that's actually knowing when to use those words in context. For example, when you walk up the stairs that are just to my left, Kiva will say hello. However, I've already been up here hanging out with her, so she probably won't say it again, but she does make a lot of funny noises. She has a couple that she makes all the time. She recently has started meowing, which is pretty funny. Oh, there she goes. I don't know if you guys can hear her, but she does make some super funny noises. And she absolutely loves the attention from people. So when we are up here cleaning or doing whatever else, we'll kind of open up the door. She'll walk around all over the top. She can fly, so her wings are not clipped. But the thing that happens with birds a lot of time when they're in, oh, that's her little ringtone that she does. Someone's phone rang one day and now she will not stop repeating it. But yeah, so these guys, she can still fly, but the thing that happens with birds once they're in human care is they get pretty lazy, to be honest. So they just don't really like to fly just because they don't need to. So she'll kind of slide around on her pole. She'll walk around using her beak as well as her feet, but for the most part, she doesn't like to fly. And there she goes again with the ringtone. So yeah, she is awesome. This is why I want one, though I need some responsibility. So I did read that in the comments. And a lot of times when I do show Kiva or any of our birds, people think they are awesome. And they are great pets. But it is super important to do research before getting any animals. Because while she does sound cute for maybe the 5 minutes that you hear her, having one in your house all the time who can yell at about 110 decibels, which is about the same volume as a jackhammer for 24 hours straight, your neighbors will probably hate you. So just keep that in mind, as well as the fact that some birds do live about could live up to 90 years. So these guys actually don't live as long as that, but they're definitely still a lifelong pet, probably around 20, 25 years. So there she goes. So she is awesome. How old is Kiva? That's a very good question. However, I'm not going to be able to answer that with most of our animals just because we are a rescue center. A lot of times what happens is our animals come to us and we don't necessarily know their age. So it could be a guess sometimes, we might be able to estimate, but for the most part, I'm not sure how old she is. But she is a super, super friendly bird, definitely adorable. I will try to show you some other animals up here. However, she does tend to scream when we're not looking at her. She likes to be the star of the show, but I will kind of bring you guys around. We'll see some cool animals up here, and then we'll be able to go downstairs and see some even bigger animals. We'll get to go in a couple habitats as well. So starting up here, I am going to show you guys an animal that we can find right here in Canada. And we're going to see if he is home. Oop. We love your animals. I love them too. They are awesome. So this guy right here, we're going to see our first snake. And we do have some bigger snakes. This guy's one of our medium-sized snakes, but he is drinking some water right now, which is pretty cool. If you've never seen a snake drink water, I do have the coolest job. I'm very, very lucky to be working here. I'm actually in my second year of university, so it's a nice little escape from school to be able to come into work. So here we have our snake. This guy is a bull snake. You'll notice he is on some paper right now. That's because he has mites at the moment. So that's a little bug that a lot of times snake collections do end up having. So we just put them on paper just while we get rid of the mites. We'll notice right now my bull snake is sticking out his tongue. He is not doing that because he is drinking. You'll notice he's not in the water anymore. When they do drink, they do it in more of kind of a slurping motion with their tongue. However, right now, the reason he's sticking his tongue out is because he is smelling. So snakes actually smell with their tongues. Some people may have known that, but it is pretty cool. And the way it actually works is awesome. So if you guys take a look at his tongue, when he sticks that out, they smell with their tongue. Yeah, they do. So it's a pretty interesting thing about snakes and a lot of lizards is they'll actually use their tongue to assist them in smelling. So when he's sticking out his tongue right now, you guys can't really see with this guy, but I will show you on one of our lizards. It's a lot more obvious that they've got a little split at the end of their tongue. So I kind of show you with my fingers. Just looks like that at the end of their tongue. And then basically the easiest way to explain it, what they're doing when they do stick out their tongue, is one of the two sides will be able to smell a little bit more. And that's kind of how they'll get a sense of where they're headed. And then when they do put their tongue back in their mouth, it's kind of gross, but they actually need to basically stick their tongue up their nose. So they've got these two small holes in the top of their mouth that they can then put those two ends of their tongue. You can start to see it a little bit better right now. And then they'll basically be able to smell just like that. So it is pretty cool. Again, this guy was a bull snake. Yeah, he is a super cool snake. And you guys will see he actually loses the color, the orange color in his tail. Once we get around here, it's missing. So these snakes, when they are hiding or they're sitting on the ground, anything like that, a lot of times they'll be kind of rolled up in a ball, which is pretty cool because then they'll actually look like two different snakes. So they kind of lose that color all the way down. But I will say bye to our bull snake now. And we'll actually get to head downstairs to see some more animals. We can say bye to Kiva one more time on the way down. Not sure if you guys can still hear her making some noises. There she goes, saying bye to us. Yeah, she is great. So if you guys do have any questions, you can type them in the chat now. I'll try to answer them as I head over to see our next animal right downstairs. So I'll just turn off the camera for a second, get those questions going, and we'll get to see another animal that you guys can find right here in Canada. This one, definitely. What are you studying in university? Thank you for that question. I am actually studying religious studies right now, so nothing to do with animals. I do eventually potentially want to take a zoology course, something like that, but I'm only in my second year, so I'm kind of just exploring different courses right now, just kind of taking what interests me. I just love my job more. So this guy, here's another animal we can find right here in Canada, but it is not one that I'm going to stick my hand into his habitat. So this guy here is a snapping turtle. So yes, these guys will bite. They do have a pretty strong bite on them as well. So he's actually pretty big. Again, I don't want to stick my hand in, but you can get a good idea of how big Norman here is. So these guys in French, if any of you know what a snapping turtle in French is, it is called a serpent, or tortue serpentine, which basically means a snake turtle. And that's because these guys actually have a really long neck. So it doesn't look like his neck is super long right now, but he can actually extend his neck about 2/3 the length of his body. So if I was to touch him on his back foot, he would actually be able to bite me. So if you guys ever see a snapping turtle in the road and think you can just pick them up by the sides of their shell, your hands will not be safe. The best way, and basically the only way to pick up a snapping turtle, is to grab him on either end of his tail. So right around here on his shell, he's got a little indent on the bottom. So he'll actually be able to, you can kind of put your hands into there, lift him up. These guys can get to be pretty heavy. So in that case, you'd be able to just kind of wheelbarrow them across the road, help them out. Let me read the question. My 3-year-old watching me wants to know if he can eat us. That is a very good question. He will not try to eat you. Don't worry. If you put your finger in his mouth, he might try to bite you, but it won't take your finger off or anything. It will definitely hurt, but nothing too serious. He only likes to eat mice. So we don't need to worry about that or any other kind of animal that you might find underground. Maybe he'll be eating some fish, but definitely not people. Don't worry. Does Norman have teeth? That's another good question. So I'll try to get a little view of Norman's mouth here, but we can't get too good of a view. But the thing about turtles is they actually don't have teeth. The best way I can explain it, their mouth is kind of shaped almost like a beak. So the same kind of thing as the beak of a bird. Tortoises and turtles have the same kind of idea. So they've got more of a strong jaw pressure than teeth. Can you tell us the difference between snapping turtles and regular turtles? So that's a good question about the mice as well. So we feed him mice here is what I meant. However, in the wild, he'll eat fish, any kind of maybe smaller little animal that might be living in the water. But the thing is, these guys don't always live underwater. So they can come out of the water, especially females, if they're crossing they'll usually go to a forest area, somewhere like that, to lay their eggs. So they are out of the water a fair amount of the time. However, they do prefer to spend their time underwater, but you never know, they might leave to eat. And yeah, so long tails, that's the main difference. If you take a look, he has got a super, super long tail. And I'll show you one of our turtles just so you guys can see the little comparison of their tail. That's the main way you'll be able to tell. These guys also have got a much longer neck. So you, again, can't see it right now, but he's got all these little kind of rolls on his neck. That's another good way to tell. Snapping turtles are also much bigger than turtles you're going to find around here. So this guy is a common snapping turtle, which means you will find them here in Ottawa. Anytime I say here, I do mean where the Algonquin campus is in Ottawa, if any of you are from outside of Canada. However, so this guy said, you can see he's pretty big. I'll bring you to a painted turtle. So a painted turtle, if you guys are from the area and have ever been to, say, Petrie Island, anywhere else like that, and you have seen turtles, it's probably been one of these guys. And I'll show you just the comparison in size between our snapping turtle compared to, say, turtles that you would find here. So this guy right here is a painted turtle. They are known for having super cool colors on the bottoms of their shell. But you can see just from looking at him here, he is much, much smaller than our snapping turtle. His tail is also much shorter. So those are kind of the main ways that you're going to be able to tell whether or not it is a snapping turtle or just a regular turtle. Let me check the chat. Yeah, he is a super cool turtle. And the difference between a turtle and a tortoise, does anyone know what that is? The main difference between turtles and tortoises. Yeah, so size, webbed feet, all very good answers. So webbed feet, that is going to be the main one. So if we take a look at his feet here, they are really well built for swimming. And we will be able to see a tortoise in a little bit. So we'll get to kind of see the comparison in the feet of a turtle versus the feet of a tortoise. Tortoises' feet are a lot more stumpy. Turtle feet are a lot better for swimming. Also, their habitats. This is just a little treat that he didn't like. I tried to give it to him this morning. So these guys, they have a lot of water in their habitats. They are a very aquatic-based animal. However, while tortoises can swim, they aren't able to actually hold their breath underwater like turtles are. So they spend a lot more time on land than they do in the water, unless they kind of have to go somewhere, maybe to cool off, anything like that. And then I did see as well, turtles are amphibians. That is a very good guess. However, turtles are not amphibians. They are actually reptiles. Turtles and tortoises are both considered to be reptiles. And then I did see, how long can turtles hold their breath underwater? Again, that's just kind of depending from turtle to turtle. So some of them will stay underwater for a very long time. This guy is a Mississippi map turtle. Just thought I'd bring him over to say hi to you guys. And just before I leave our kitchen here, so I am in our kitchen. This is where we prep all of our food for the animals, kind of get everything ready. But it's also our little aquatic section, just to kind of give you guys an idea. And then right here in the corner, you'll notice we have some friends fast asleep. So I don't want to wake them up, but I will come over just to show you guys. This is John Ham and Kevin Bacon. These guys are our two pot-bellied pigs. They are absolutely adorable. And I'm going to flip my camera because I always find this hilarious to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys just how big, maybe I'll bring it over here, just how big they are compared to me. So this is my arm on John. He is huge. These guys weigh probably around 200 or 300 pounds, and they are considered to be teacup pigs. So when people do buy pigs and they say, oh, I have a teacup pig, like it's not going to get bigger than my hand, John's face is the size of my hand. These guys, so a teacup pig is any pig under, I'm pretty sure it's 500 pounds. So you can imagine that if people say, oh, it's a small pig, if you do feed them correctly and everything, they will not be a small pig. So these guys here actually are only free roam animals. So you'll notice this is actually their litter box. They've already destroyed it, but they are completely like litter trained. They will only ever go in their litter box. They will walk everywhere around our center. They tend to stay on the mats most of the time. But Kevin, who is our pink pig in the back there, he loves to roam around, and you'll often find him kind of just wandering around everywhere. Kevin is also fully blind. So surprisingly, he can find his way around, and he is definitely the bully of the two of them as well. And are there any pigs that really stay small? No. So these guys are actually considered to be teacup pigs. So stay small means they stay under about 500 pounds. So it's really whatever your definition of small is. And why do you have a pig in your reptile zoo? Good question. So we do specialize in reptiles, but we also have a lot of mammals here as well, just because we are an exotic animal rescue. So we kind of take anything that comes into us. And the thing that happens with pigs a lot of times is people do purchase them thinking that they're going to be a little teacup pig, and then they end up getting super big. So John and Kevin here have been living with us for quite a while now. So I'm going to head over into the habitat right across the way, right in here, to see some super cool animals. And I am going to bring this little stick in with me just in case, you never know. So in here, I'll get the door open. We will get to see some of my favorite, some of what I think are the coolest kinds of reptiles. So if anyone knows what kind of reptiles these are, you can type it in the chat. We'll see if anyone can take a guess at what I'm looking at here. Alligator, good guess. Caiman, you are right. These guys are caimans. So these are actually Cuvier's dwarf caimans. They are known to be the smallest type of crocodilian in the world. But these guys will get to be a little bit bigger. So right now, they're not too long. However, they could get to be probably another 2-3 feet. And so the males will reach about 5 or 6 feet. So they are kind of swimming around right now. There are 8 of them who live in here. A couple of them are in the back of the water there. They are all siblings, and they were born at our center 4 years ago. So these guys, none of them are adults yet. They're all still little babies. They're all about 5 years old. So a very brave, yes. However, I do have this in case they try to come up. You just I would just give them little pat like this. That just lets them know that I don't have food on me. So once they see me come in with the stick, they know that I'm just here to talk about them. They won't come up to me. And since they've been in human care for so long, these guys are like little puppy dogs. They're very, very friendly. I've never seen them try to bite anyone before. And for the most part, they just like to hang out in their water, under their lights, and just kind of hang out. So caimans are actually probably the closest thing you are going to get to a dinosaur. So these guys' skeletons actually haven't changed in about 200 million years. So it's been a super long time. If you take a look at their teeth, at their mouths, at their eyes, they've got a super cool looking structure as well. So caimans, actually, if I was to put my phone like this right in front of my friend here, he cannot see my phone. So if I put my stick right in front of his nose, he actually can't see that right now, because caimans have something called monocular vision, which basically means they see out of the sides of their face. So imagine if you could only see out of your ears. So right now he can see it, but in front of him he cannot. And that goes with food as well. So they will also be eating with the sides of their face. When you see them moving around, if they're crawling, they will use their feet, but for swimming purposes, they actually use their tail. That kind of helps them move them around, go a little bit faster. So these guys will eat any kind of meat, really anything that we were to put in here, they would absolutely love. So they are carnivores. Does it seem to be friendly? They are. Can you pet them? Yeah, so you can definitely touch them. The thing is with these guys, you want to just kind of approach them from the back, but this will kind of give you guys a size comparison. So he is very small compared to my hand. Well, he's a little bigger than my hand, but these guys, they are super friendly. He's backtracking into the water now. So does anyone have any questions about any of our animals so far, or any animals you guys want to see specifically? If not, I will move on to show you guys some more cute animals.
I think we've got someone raising their hand, Charlotte, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Okay, Victoria, I'm just going to unmute you and then you can ask your question. Victoria, you just have to unmute yourself so you can ask your question.
Oh, sorry, I accidentally pressed it.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have a question?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I do see the little Q&A up in the top. Sorry, I just saw that. What are the long-term plans for the caimans? Will they stay in the center for life? So good question. We do have their parents. Oh, the light's flickering on and off right now. Their parents do still live here. They are in a separate habitat, just because once caimans are born, while the mom came in, she'd kind of be unbothered. She would hang out with them. The dad came in, would just see them as little bits of food running around. So as soon as the mom did lay her eggs, we did separate them. there's no like they don't miss their mom or anything. They would be off on their own in the wild right away as well, but they'll probably stay here until they do get bigger. They have been raised all together. Caimans are actually the only species of crocodilian that will hunt in kind of a family way in a group session. So we will probably just keep them here. We'll definitely be upgrading the size of their habitat as they get bigger, or we'll ship them off somewhere that may have a bigger habitat for them, just kind of depending. We try to keep our animals with the biggest habitat possible. So it's kind of a halfway house to get them somewhere bigger. Were they part of the same litter? So yeah, they're all part of the same litter. They were all born here 4 years ago. So all brothers and sisters. Do they have names? Yes, they are named after Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, because there are 8 of them. So you can pick which one is named what. How does everybody get to see each other? I'm not sure what you mean by that question. Maybe see if I can answer if it's maybe worded differently. Sorry, I'm just not exactly sure what you mean. But yeah, these guys here, they're awesome. I will say bye to them now, and we'll move on to see some more super cool animals. So I'll head out of this habitat here. Always super important to make sure to lock the doors as well. So I will head over to show you guys one of my favorite animals, one of the ones who absolutely loves to be seen by people. And we'll see if I can wake one of them up, because they are just absolutely adorable. So this, everyone, is Milo. Milo is a ferret. So these guys are awesome. And I'm going to flip the camera just so you guys can see how cool these are. So this is Milo. Ferrets are very long animals. As you can see, she's very long and she is very, very flexible. So look at this. I can actually fold her right in half. Ferrets are very, very bendy animals. So they will bend around absolutely everywhere. And she loves to see herself and loves to see people. So she does want to come see you guys. Something super cool about ferrets. Look at how easy it is for me to put her to sleep. So all I've got to do is grab her right on her neck here, and she'll actually fall asleep. And if you look, she actually just goes right to bed. It's pretty funny. She will have a yawn every once in a while, but I did wake her up from her nap. So she's pretty tired. Ferrets are super cool animals. They are actually carnivores. So these guys are only meat eaters. In the wild, there actually could be very vicious animals. So these guys will eat mice and rats. They'll hunt them down. And that's the reason why they're so bendy. So they'll actually be able to go into walls. They'll be able to go and chase down those mice. If you've ever had mice in your house, you can get a ferret, get rid of the problem in about a day. They are some super cool little animals. Are ferrets a good pet? So they are a great pet. A lot of people do have ferrets. So in the States, ferrets are actually the 3rd most popular pet after cats and dogs, surprisingly. So a lot of people do have them. The thing is, they're very, very mischievous animals. So the word ferret in Latin actually comes from little thief. So these guys do tend to maybe steal your shoes. They like to dig holes all in your couches and everything, but they are super cute animals. They absolutely love to play. So you do need to give them a good amount of attention as well. And they will absolutely love it. They are some super awesome animals. The one thing about ferrets as pets, though, is that they are closely related to the skunk. So they are technically cousins to the skunk, which means that they are pretty stinky. So they won't musk you in the same way that a skunk would. However, they just kind of smell in general. If you look over in this tire here, we've got another one sound asleep. He is pretty cute, just sleeping in his little tire. But they are some awesome animals. It's just, again, about doing that research before getting any as a pet. Definitely make sure to look it up and kind of figure out what you're getting yourself into. That was meant. Okay, awesome. I will see if there are any other questions. They are of different shades. Yeah, so they can come in a bunch of different colors. It just kind of depends. I've heard they smell and you can get them de-smelly. So yeah, we have 3 ferrets. You can remove their scent glands. A lot of people do that. One of ours does have them removed, I'm pretty sure. And the thing is, they all smell the exact same. So again, it's not like a skunk where you can just remove their scent glands. They won't be able to musk you anymore. It's really the oils in their skin that are stinky. So a lot of times people will give their ferret a bath expecting it to smell better. And it actually just makes it smell worse, because if you've ever taken a shower, it does just bring out the oils in your hair. So it's the same kind of idea with ferrets. So a lot of times people set themselves up for a stinkier pet. And do you have capybaras? No, I wish we did. They are adorable. We do have another super cool animal actually right next door to the ferrets. And this is an animal that you guys may have never seen before. So I'm going to try to find him, and he's probably under one of his boxes. So he's got two here. So I'm just going to lift up the box and see. Oh, and there he is. You guys can see me digging him out. And I will wake him up just to show you guys our super cool friend, Artie. This is Artie. Artie, yes, he is an armadillo. Artie is a Brazilian 3-banded armadillo. It is safe to touch this wild animal. Yeah, so these guys have all been in human care for a very long time. They're all very friendly. It is all very safe. And I do put on a little bit of hand sanitizer between each one, just so that we're not cross-contaminating any of the animals. So this is Artie. Artie is a Brazilian 3-banded armadillo. And I'll flip him over so you guys can see. This is his 3 bands here that help him roll up. So 3-banded armadillos, he's running away from me. 3-banded armadillos are actually one of 2 kinds of armadillos that can fully roll themselves up into a ball. So you'll notice that he's got a triangle tail as well as a triangle face, and they actually mold together perfectly so he can fully roll himself up into a little ball to get away from predators. His shell is made of the same thing that a tortoise or turtle shell is made out of, which is also the same thing that our fingernails are made out of, a material called keratin. Yeah, exactly. I see it in the comments. Keratin, you're right. So he does have a pretty thick shell, but you'll notice he is a mammal, so he's also got hair all over him. That works kind of like his eyelashes to kind of keep the hair out of his shell the same way that they keep anything out of your eyes. So right now you'll see he's moving around. I will put him down so you guys can see him run because he is super cute. You'll see he's got these long, long claws on him. So in the wild, these guys are very, very good at digging. You will mostly find them underground a lot of the time. They're also insectivores, which means they eat a straight diet of insects. So they do need to be able to dig themselves underground. So I'll put him down just so you guys can see how he moves, because a lot of people find it pretty funny. He reminds me of a Pokemon. Yeah, he really does. He's hilarious. Do they roll around or only run? No, I've only ever seen him run. I've never actually seen him go into a ball and roll. Maybe if he was on a hill, it could possibly happen, but I don't think that would happen. I'm asking about the disease. Oh, yeah, leprosy. So transfer from human to animals. So I'm not sure if you're talking about specifically all animals or just armadillos, because I think about armadillos that a lot of people know is that they are actually carriers of leprosy. But the thing is with Artie, he has been tested. So we know that he doesn't have leprosy. So it is completely safe to touch him. And it actually only happens in about 25% of armadillos. So we'd be able to kind of tell. We do get them tested and he is all good to go, if that's the disease you're talking about. Yeah, so I'll move on because I see one of our snakes doing something pretty cool. Okay, awesome. Glad to have answered the question. So up here, we actually have a Burmese python, and he is moving up his window. So I thought it was a cool time to come over to be able to see him. We do have another one way in the back. She's taking a little bath right now, but we will talk about our Burmese pythons. Just like in Harry Potter, yes. So these guys are actually the 3rd largest type of snake in the world. He is a python, which means he is not a venomous animal. He is a constrictor. So for anyone who doesn't know what a constrictor is, I like to say that they're one of the friendliest kind of snakes because they give their food a big hug before they eat it. So before they'll try to get their food, they'll see a bunny or a rat or any kind of animal kind of running by, run over and catch them, and then they will give them a really very tight hug and end up eating them. So these guys can actually eat a prey item about 10 times the size of their head in one bite. So if you look, This is about the size of his head. And then you can imagine an animal 10 times that size and he can swallow it completely whole. So pretty cool. Big snakes are absolutely awesome, but I cannot open the door to this habitat because any snake over 10 feet actually needs 2 people to be able to handle them, just to be safe, just to be extra precautious. But this guy is pretty active right now. He is moving all around in there. I think he's about 10 or 12 feet at the moment. And then you see we've got an albino Burmese python in the back. So you won't find that color in the wild. This is going to be the color that you see mostly. She is probably taking a bath right now to be able to shed. So a lot of times she'll go and sit in her water before shedding just to kind of bring the humidity up. So snakes do shed their skin every around 4 to 6 weeks, and they'll get a whole new layer. So he's still exploring up against the window here. Do you have squirrel monkeys? No, I wish. They are some more super cute animals that we do not have. Awesome. So I'm going to move on to another habitat now, and then we'll be able to see some more super cool animals. So I'm going to head on over here. If you just give me a second, we're going to head into our showroom. So where we've got some more animals, some more reptiles and mammals as well. But before we enter, I just want to show you guys Nigel. So Nigel, he's hanging out on his dock. And there is Nigel. I'll see if coming over onto this side might be a little bit of a better view. So Nigel is a Nile crocodile. Do you have sugar gliders? Yes, we'll actually go and I can show you their habitat, but they're probably sleeping at the moment. This snake ate right now. No, we haven't fed any of our snakes today. So Nigel is a Nile crocodile. These guys are they're adorable. Yeah, they're some super cute, super cool animals. So they actually have the strongest bite force of any animal on the planet. So if you guys bite down as hard as you can, you're biting down at about 100, 150 pounds of pressure. If Nigel bites down, he is biting down at about 5,000 to 6,000 pounds of pressure. So you can imagine you would definitely not want to go swim in this habitat. These guys are also one of 3 animals that will hunt people. So definitely you would not want to go swimming in the Nile and get caught by one of these guys. I will show you where we keep our sugar gliders. The thing is, sugar gliders are nocturnal animals. So they're right over here. This is their little habitat. They're probably, I'll see if I can see any of them through their little window. But the thing is, since they are nocturnal animals, they're not in there. So a lot of times they like to hang out in this little house all day, which actually doesn't have an access point for me to find them. And the thing with sugar gliders is I don't want to wake them up. I don't want to disturb them too much, because they actually, doing that and trying to switch their cycle so that they are awake during the day can actually cut their lifespan in half. So we don't like to do that. We don't want to hurt or to kind of affect their sleep schedule. Up here, we have Hammer and River. Hammer and River are both green iguanas. So these guys do live in here together. Hammer is kind of our old man green iguana. So he is probably almost 20 years old at the moment. And these guys only live to be about 23. So he's very old. He's definitely in retirement. He just kind of hangs out basking on his log all day. And then River is our brand new baby green iguana. So she hangs out in there with Hammer. She's not his baby. She just will stay in there with him because since he is at such an old age, he'll kind of protect her, take care of her. And she does go and like to sit on his head to get closer to the light, which is pretty funny. Moving on down, we have Cream. So this here is Cream. Cream is a black and white tegu. So these guys are another super cool kind of lizard. She is from Argentina specifically, but you can find tegus all the way from Mexico, all the way down. I have a golden Colombian tegu. That is amazing. We actually have one upstairs. They are awesome animals. If I was going to get a big lizard, I would 100% get a tegu just because they are so friendly. I'm sure you know if you have one that they are just the best kinds of lizards. And we'll notice if she sticks out her tongue again, she also has the split tongue, just like my snake. That's because these guys also use their tongue to help them smell, while they do have a nose canal, their tongue kind of helps them get a better sense of where they are. It's also very long, so they can smell for longer than they'd be able to with just the help of their nose. So we'll let her sleep, and I'll go and try to show you guys a couple more animals in this room, and then we'll go into a couple more habitats. So up here, we'll see if we can find our snake, and I see him right in the back corner. So this is actually one of our venomous snakes. This guy is a Western diamondback rattlesnake. And you guys might be thinking, I don't see diamonds on his back. How can he be called that? And these that he actually didn't ever develop those diamonds all over his back, which is pretty cool. It could be because of the fact that he hasn't had to camouflage or anything like that, but he is not even an albino snake. He just has looked like that since he was a little baby. And if you guys take a look at his face, you'll notice it looks like he has 4 nostrils. So 2 of those holes aren't actually considered nostrils for smelling, but they're called heat pits. So they actually help him to be able to see. So if you imagine if it was pitch black in the desert and you're walking around, you wouldn't even be able to see your hand in front of your face. And those heat pits actually help him to be able to see for super far away from him. And it's almost like if you've ever been to a museum where you can kind of see your body heat and there's little bits of red and orange and blue where you're cold or everything. That's how he'll be able to see, so he can see a warm-bodied figure, and he'll know that's what he's going to go and try to eat for dinner, which is pretty cool. Rattlesnakes are awesome. Yeah, almost like infrared vision. So we're going to see one more animal before we head over to some more habitats. And it's my friends up here. These are chinchillas, and these guys are one of the cutest kinds of animals, in my opinion. They are also one of the softest animals in the world. So these guys, you'll find them in the mountains in the Andes. They live super high up where it's a little bit colder, so they do need some super dense fur. So in one of our hair follicles, we have about 1 or 2 hairs. These guys will have about 7 or 8. So they do have some super, super thick hair. And the thing is, since it's so dense, it also cannot get wet. So they actually can't go in the water. So you're probably wondering, well, how do they get clean? These guys actually do what we call dust baths. So they literally roll around in dust. So in the wild, they obviously don't have access to a big tub of dust like we give them here. And that's because they'll actually bathe in volcanic ash. So since they're so high up in the mountains, they'll roll around in volcanic ash to clean off their hair because it can't get wet. It's just so dense that getting it wet, it'll actually, it won't fully dry as well as it is. Are they related to rabbits? Yes, they are in the rodent family. So they would be technically related to rabbits. Is it legal to have them as pets? Here, yeah. So in Ottawa, it is legal to have chinchillas. One of my friends has a couple of them actually. The thing is, it's super important that you do have a couple of them or that you're able to spend a lot of time with them. They are super social animals. Just like our sugar gliders, they're also nocturnal. So they are awake every once in a while during the day, but they do most of their activity at night. That includes running about 1 kilometer every single day. So these guys are very, very active as well. So I'm going to leave them and we're going to go into another habitat. If you guys have any more questions, you can type them into the chat and I'll try to answer them while I make my way over to Lilo and Roger's habitat. Why is there a light in their box if they're nocturnal? Good question. So we like to have the light there just to kind of simulate that if they were in the wild, they wouldn't always be in the dark, right? It wouldn't be dark 24/7. They would still be the sun and then it would set. So we have the same idea. They do have a little area that they can go and it's dark during the day as in like going in a cave or something in the wild. However, most of the time they are outside. So I'll quickly show you guys some tortoises that we've got in this habitat. So here we have a red-footed tortoise. These guys are some super cute tortoises. At one point, we had around 15 of them. So the thing that happens a lot of times when people do get tortoises, they don't do the research to realize that they live about 80 to 100 years on average. So that is a super long time to commit to having a pet. And a lot of times people buy a tortoise when, say, they're in their 20s, and then that tortoise ends up living longer than them. And then they're going to end up being a family heirloom. You have to pass it down to your kids. And a lot of times people don't want a tortoise because they are kind of stinky. So it is super important to do that research before adopting, or to maybe adopt a rescue who's already a little older, because we do get a lot of tortoises here of people who don't realize just how long they're going to live. I'm going to show you, we do have another animal in this habitat, because if you look around, there are a lot of trees in here, and tortoises obviously do not climb trees. So we do have some more animals in here. They are asleep at the moment, but I'm still going to show them to you. And I will show you Lilo and Roger. Here are Lilo and Roger. These guys are our two-toed sloths. So Roger is kind of showing us a little better view of what they actually look like. Lilo is just up in a little ball right now. But sloths sleep about 15 to 18 hours a day. So it's a lot of their time is spent sleeping, except for if we come in here with food, then they will wake up. These guys eat any kinds of vegetables, really. Their absolute favorite is sweet potatoes, especially Roger, who is our male right up there. They do sleep in the funniest positions. Like if you look, we put that platform in because they have this very thin branch here that Lilo always steals. So she's actually upright right now. If you guys can see where her nose is, she's sleeping right on her back. Even though they have all of these super thick branches, they absolutely love this little corner. These little black holders here hold dandelion leaves. So in the wild, sloths will eat up to about 200 leaves every single day. So we do need to constantly put leaves in here, as well as give them vegetables every single day so that they do have options to eat. These guys also only have to go to the bathroom in the wild every 10 to 14 days. So in human care, they will go about every week because they do have a pretty steady diet. However, in the wild, they only need to come down from the trees every week or so. Lucky, I know. Imagine you only had to go to the bathroom. You have to plan a bathroom break every Sunday. That would be great. But that's because they're just eating so many leaves. And these guys live about 100 feet up in the trees in the wild as well. So definitely takes them a couple days just to get down. They are pretty slow. I'm not sure why they don't just drop it from the trees. They need to climb all the way down to make a little hole in the ground. I saw someone say Roger looks like he's about to fall. I know there have been many times where I've thought that Roger is about to fall. I don't even know if he's hooked on right now anywhere. He's just right on the edge of that platform there, but he is super comfortable. I have seen him asleep upside down with one hand hooked on his branch. So if I fall asleep holding something, I'll probably drop it, but he can sleep completely up like that. I think I just found my spirit animal. Yeah, these guys are absolutely awesome. A lot of people love to come in to feed them and to kind of take a look at them. They're also vulnerable to predators during the dump. Exactly. So these guys, when they do come down to go to the bathroom, about 50% of the time they get attacked by a predator and they don't make it back up into the trees. So they have snakes to worry about. They have crocodilians, even other mammals like jaguars or anything else. These guys you can specifically find in Costa Rica. So they've got a lot of different animals out to hunt them, which is weird that I find it so weird that they come all the way down to go to the bathroom when they could just stay up in the trees. These guys are actually able to grow moss, algae, and other plants on their fur. So they could have a whole ecosystem right on their fur. They'll have bugs living in their fur, maybe even little animals. Most of the time it's bugs and algae, plants, everything like that. So they will have a whole ecosystem on their back sometimes, and yet they have to climb all the way down out of the trees. But they are super, super adorable animals. I'll see, do we have any questions about the sloths, or do you guys want to move on to our last habitat of the day? Are they gentle? Yeah, so they're pretty friendly when they're babies. So up until they reach about 1 year old, which we got Lilo when she was just a little baby. You can actually hold them and they will sit on you. They'll think you're a tree and kind of grip onto your arms, and it's super cute. However, once they get a little bit older, so these guys are 3 and 4 right now, they do like to stay in the trees most of the time. They prefer to be up, so we can pet them, sometimes bringing food in for them, but for the most part, we don't ever take them out of the trees. And I saw a question of, are all of your animals rescued? So that's a very good question. About 95% of our animals are rescues. The other, say 5%, so I'll give you guys some examples. We have foxes. They're outside, so unfortunately it is too cold for me to go and show you guys our foxes. But we do have them outside, and we actually purchased them from a fur farm a couple of years ago. So there was a fur farm shutting down, trying to get rid of the animals in a not so friendly way. So we did buy those guys. Other times, like for example, Nigel, our Nile crocodile that you saw, he was going to be euthanized because his zoo was shutting down. So we rescued him from there. Same with our sloths. So these guys take a huge habitat. They need a specific humidifier and a heater to keep it a crisp 32 degrees in here at all times. So because of that, a lot of times people don't have, it costs a lot of money to take care of them and everything. So these guys were actually rescued more from a euthanasia situation. So it's awesome. We do try our best to rescue as many animals, even if it's more of kind of getting them from other facilities that are shutting down. We do try to send them to bigger habitats if somewhere opens up. So we kind of try to be the halfway house just to take care of them while they need it. How long do they usually live? So these guys in human care can live 30 to 40 years. So they can have a super long lifespan in human care. However, in the wild, they'll actually only live to be about 10 years old on average, just because so many of them are so often killed by predators. They don't have as long of a life in the wild. But we will say bye to Roger and bye to Lilo. And I'll head out and head into our final habitat for the day. So this last habitat that we're going into, it is going to get dark for a second, just because I do. Oh, and I'll actually show you guys, because you did want to see a sloth closer up. I'm going to show you guys Barry here. Barry is having his habitat cleaned right now, but here he is right up on his branch. So you guys can see how they do hang upside down and get kind of a better view. He's eating a little sweet potato. So if you guys take a look at Barry and you take a look at his teeth, he has got some big teeth on him. And here he goes coming down to eat. So he loves sweet potato. And those teeth that you guys are seeing right now are actually only for defense. So he has got those super sharp canines up in the front there. And then he has the teeth he's actually chewing with further down in his mouth. So those big teeth are solely for defense, but 50% of them still are getting eaten when they come out of the trees because they are pretty slow. Here we go. We can see Barry eating his food a little bit, get a better view of those teeth and of his nose. He is awesome. And there he goes. So we do need to keep Barry happy with his sweet potato while cleaning his habitat. So I'm going to head on over to our last habitat of the day. And it's going to get dark for just a second because I've got to go through a double set of doors here. So just give me 1 minute. So right as I enter, you'll see a lot of turtles on the ground. So we've got a lot of tortoises, and I'm going to show you Sherman over here because he's definitely our biggest tortoise. So firstly, when I was talking about our turtles way earlier in the presentation, I said I was going to show you the feet of a tortoise. And here you can see much stumpier feet for sure. These guys are called sulcata or spur thigh tortoises. He is a big boy. So this is my hand on Sherman. He is massive. These guys are actually the second largest type of turtle in the world. The largest is the Galapagos tortoise, and then it's these guys here. How much does Sherman weigh? He probably weighs about 150, maybe 200 pounds at the moment. Is he bigger than the caimans? Oh yeah, Sherman is much, much bigger than the caimans. He's probably the biggest tortoise that we have. One of our biggest animals as well. So here we can get a better view of the beak of a turtle and how he doesn't actually have teeth. It's more of a sharp beak here. Sherman is a herbivore, which means he only eats vegetables and other greens and everything. So he doesn't need a super strong beak, but there's a little close-up of Sherman's face. And now we can see our other ones heading over to me because they probably think that I have food, but I don't. But you can get a little view of just how fast tortoises move. So they are pretty slow, but again, sometimes a little bit faster than people expect. Do other animals live in that enclosure? Yes, they do. You probably noticed the trees and all of this all around here that our tortoises do not use. So tortoises, these guys, are actually from Madagascar. Another animal that comes from Madagascar is also in this habitat. And I will try to get a good view of them. So, try to see if they'll want to come down. Up there, we have our ring-tailed lemurs. So that is King Julian. If anyone has seen the movie Madagascar, that is King Julian and his wife, Queen Elizabeth. The one mistake, though, that the Madagascar movie made was calling him King Julian, because lemurs are actually a matriarchy. So that means that women run the show, women are in charge in the lemur world, and King Julian has to listen to everything that Queen Elizabeth says. So they are super cute animals. Way up there, I'm trying to get them to come down with a strawberry, but they don't seem to want it right now. These guys' absolute favorite treats are, yes, bananas, also grapes. The cool thing about lemurs is it's actually very difficult to tell them apart. So it's pretty hard for me to know which one of these guys is the male and which one is the female. And that's because male and female lemurs are actually fairly identical. So they're about the same size. The only reason they each have 13 rings on their tail as well, the only way that you'd be able to tell them apart if you were a lemur is like our dogs. They actually sniff each other's butts, and they have a little scent gland that will determine whether or not it is another lemur or not. Male lemurs also do something that we call stink fighting. So basically they shake their tail around and they throw a scent gland at another male lemur. And when that other male lemur smells that scent gland, they will then throw the scent gland back. And yeah, ew, it is pretty gross. Oh, here comes Julian. Maybe he'll head on down. It is pretty gross, but the funniest thing is when Julian decides he wants to stink fight one of the tortoises, because the tortoise has no idea what he's doing. He's shaking his tail around like crazy and getting very mad that the tortoise isn't responding. But the tortoise is like, I don't even know what you are. I don't even have a really big tail. So they don't really tend to stink fight him back, but it's pretty funny to watch. Oh, and there goes King Julian yelling. So anytime our birds yell, he does tend to yell back at them. So you can hear him. There they go. So you can hear them. That is definitely not the noise I would ever expect lemurs to make, but it's pretty funny. So definitely a loud job for sure, but there he goes. So does anyone have any questions about our lemurs or about any other animal or any last animals you guys want to see if I have just before we wrap up the call? I'll take any kind of last minute questions, comments, anything like that. Will any animals go back to the wild? That's a very good question. So our main goal is always rehabilitation. A lot of times when animals come into us, though, they're very far past that point because people have either taken them out of the wild for too long that we can't put them back into their habitats or any other reason. We do try our best to rehabilitate them, but I would say most of the time we just try to either adopt them out or give them a super big habitat like our lemurs have here. It's massive and it gives them a lot of space to kind of hang out. Do you have any big monitor lizards? Yes, we do have an Asian water monitor. So I'll actually show you Mrs. Kipling right just before we end the call. I'll head over. It's going to get dark for a second. And I will show you guys our Asian water monitors. So Asian water monitors are the second largest type of lizard in the world. So the largest one is the Komodo dragon. We don't have any Komodo dragons here, unfortunately. Those guys are a pretty dangerous animal. But we do have Mrs. Kipling. So if anyone has ever watched the show Jessie, you guys will be familiar with who Mrs. Kipling is. This isn't the actual Mrs. Kipling, just named after her. But she is a pretty cool looking lizard. I'll see if she'll stick out her tongue because they do have an awesome tongue as well, just like the other lizards and snakes that we've seen today. It is split on the end. So sometimes if I jiggle her door, it'll make her stick out her tongue, but looks like she's just hanging out right now. So yeah, that's Mrs. Kipling. Oh, there she goes. Sticking out her tongue. So you'll see she's got a super long tongue. Yeah, so if we don't have any more questions, I'll end it on Mrs. Kipling here. I want to thank you guys so much for having us today. We really appreciate it. Oh, what do they eat? These guys will eat a lot of meat in the wild. They eat a lot of eggs as well. So crocodilian eggs or any other kinds of eggs that they could find, as well as any kinds of meat, really. They are not very picky lizards, that's for sure. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I hope you all enjoyed the tour and everything and learned something about these animals as well.
That was so fun, Charlotte. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. That was so much fun. And again, thank you so much, Charlotte. That was amazing. Thank you to all the animals. That was really great, Charlotte. I really enjoyed that. So thank you so much, everyone.
I'm glad.
Have a great rest of your day, Charlotte.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you
Bye, guys.
for joining us. Bye.